It's so interesting because, like I said, I did one this morning. I don't know why I decided to do a coming up. I actually then clashed with myself because I was meant to do that. I'm going to start free coffee and coaching at 9:30 every morning, Monday. So I completely double booked myself, which is quite an achievement, I know. Especially as I never do anything on a Monday morning. So the fact I've actually double booked myself on a Monday morning was, I think, quite exquisite personally. But anyway, high five me all the way. To explain a little bit about what's happened with Becoming Enough, it has been such a nutso journey. And more recently, I've gone deeper and deeper. And recently I've offered this thing called the Quantum Success Code, where it's like a deep dive, all in, one-to-ones, literally get you from A to B at supersonic speed to get you actually just out of the hole you're in into something new. And then that sparked something else, because I'm like, right, who am I to offer this? It happened when I did Mind Your Money and I started putting that out there. I was like, who am I to do this? I started really questioning myself and then I went over to Greece and had kind of some kind of, crazy ass meltdown in the middle of actually talking about all this. It was really crazy. And it came really, really clear that so much of everything I do is riddled in the not enoughs. Everything, every single thing that I do and that I am and that I've been. And it's not just it's riddled with it, it's just that you actually overcome loads of stuff and then it's there again when you get to your next level. And you're like, what the fuck? And it seems, and it's amazing, but it then goes you back like, oh my gosh, could I be helping people when I'm not all healed and cured, and I'm not kind of I am a hot mess, not literally, but actually like a crying hot mess that screams and cries, tears and snot, and has no control over my mood. Can I do that and still be what I say I'm going to be? And it kind of was like, wow, we go through all of these things about being, I always go, oh, I'm not a perfectionist and stuff, but I know that I've completely held myself back on probably one of the most powerful things ever, because I'm waiting to be enough. I'm waiting to be good enough. I'm waiting to not be not enough anymore. And actually, that's like doing this, just putting it out there to do the not enoughs, completely terrified me. Like Becoming Enough was like, oh, just even saying that was like, who am I to do that? And going through some of the crazy stuff that I've gone through, even just, literally, like, I think if I wrote a autobiography, nobody believed me, so I just wouldn't bother. Do you know what I mean? You think, no, don't be silly, you'd be dead by now, generally. So maybe one day. But even just the last 6 months, think, gosh, I thought I was skipping along nicely in November, thinking, yep, left my narcissistic husband, check, and lovely, happy life, check, business going well, okay, everything's perfection, let's go. I know, let's start dating my best mate. Great. Then poof, explosion happens, and not only do I get triggered to the point of, whoa, every single thing that we were literally mirroring each other like you wouldn't believe, and it turned into a car crash. He's a lovely human being, but it was a car crash. We get on now, by the way. But anyway, what it kind of taught me a lot is that we get to these levels, and then the enoughness, the not being enough, then halts us, and then we feel like we are back to square one. We're not, like I've talked to about this bubble of like, you're in the middle of your comfort zone, which is all very lovely, not very comfy, but you're there anyway. And then when you get to the edges, it gets a bit uncomfortable. So you hit the edges, and actually it feels like you're hitting the edges and getting more uncomfortable. So it's getting worse. And you either break through and you kind of find this way to get through, or you shrink down. Now, the thing is, what I knew before, but I'm probably really seeing, is that then there's a whole nother bubble after that bubble. And then you increase your capacity, you increase your impact, you increase everything you're doing, it gets bigger, and all those not enoughs come back. Now, I've always known this, but I suppose I've never fully embraced it. Like, I've always thought this is something to be gotten rid of. And I've had lots of conversations with people before about getting rid of beliefs and things. And but the enoughness isn't, I feel it's different. And I feel it's different because I've overcome so many like traumas and so many beliefs about over judgment, over all sorts of, and even a lot of the not enoughs. But because I feel that actually there's certain types of it that are so intrinsic to keeping us safe, I don't believe you're ever going to obliterate them, because actually they are a safety. Because if you feel completely enough all of the time, then your subconscious is going to go a little bit like, oh my god, what's going to rein you in? Whether you need reining in or not, there's going to be something that's going to stop you. So actually there's another level to work through of the not enoughs. But I suppose as well, a lot of people this morning, completely different set of people from very different worlds, but it feels like a lot of hard work. Like, you think, well, it's never really going to go, so what the fuck's the point? Really, why would I bother trying to be enough if it's never going to go? And I suppose it's understanding what it's stopping you doing. So you're all here, I assume, because you resonate with something that I said, or you just really like me. Either way, both, I'm sure. But like, what do you have any idea what your like not enough is? Because not enough could be anything. Like, if you're not young enough, you're not old enough, not thin enough, fat enough, blonde enough, clever enough, quiet enough. I had that one this morning. I'm too loud to be any use to somebody. So that was like, I'm too much. Or people are, I'm just not enough. I'm just too little. I can't speak enough. I'm not very good at these things. I'm not loud enough. I can't talk, and I'm certainly not clever enough. What are your enough? So I'd love to hear what you're not qualified enough. Yeah, that's big in the healing world. Not clever enough or confident. Yeah, like the confident and clever enough come up a lot, which is so interesting. I find it interesting because it's we all get these not enoughs from really, I'm not clever enough because I haven't been to school since I was 13. Yeah, I'm not bothered. It's really strange, isn't it? You think, meh. So what's interesting is that my experience of, never going to school and not knowing, like, where Penzance is, because I just don't know any geography, doesn't actually worry me at all, where other people would be crippled with, what did they find out? Do you know what I mean? Not clever enough or confident. Yeah. So, and what does it stop you doing? And I'm talking business, but what else does it stop you doing? That, like, you're not healed enough. Yeah, that was mine, Danny. In all honesty, not healed enough. Who am I when I'm a hot mess in winter? Not just because this is actually shower, not sweat. Just hashtag. Just because last time I saw Danny, I was in the car having a meeting, and I was literally in the car melting on Zoom, thinking, oh my god, I literally am sweating my own body weight out through my head. But this is actually shower. Just saying. Don't believe. So yeah. So it's like, what does it prevent you doing? And like, I'll give you an example. So when I was so very recently, I just thought, it stops me putting myself out there, stops me from taking on opportunities and making, I just thought, well, I'm not, mine is actually sweat, like a sauna. You are actually sweating. Amazing. Loving the vibe there, Danny. Good. Well, I'm not sweating, so that's fine. I'm standing my not sweating here. But what it stops us doing is being seen a lot of the time, and being heard, and being like valid and worthy enough. And it's not just a case of in business, although it does, it is in business, but as a woman, and it is a woman thing, like, I'm sure men do feel, like, I know that a lot of men do feel, but it's different not enoughs. One of my theories, and you don't have to agree with me, if you do, if you don't, I'll just delete you from the group. one of my one of my theories is that we have this very age-old wound, and it's, well, the witch's wound. If any of you have ever delved into the witch's wound, it's fascinating, but it's a feminine, it's a very feminine safety net. And the more we evolve as women, and the more we take on, and the more we can do it all, we realize that part of us says, no, but you can't. And that's not become okay either. So, you know, talking to the kids and stuff, saying it's actually okay that someone is stronger than you. A man might be stronger because physically that's how they are made. But literally, the minute you say that, what? Women can be, yeah, they can be. Is that really what you desire to be? Do you want to be everything? And it's not even a question. We have to be, in so many like beliefs, we have to be everything, because we've, you know, because society and the world and whatever, our history has pushed us forward to a point where we can be absolutely everything, but now we don't even have support. So not only have we gone and got, not we as in our generation, but generation after generation, we have now got everything, and we've also completely eliminated backup by being secluded and being isolated, and then hating each other. That's also thrown in there as well. Let's just like throw that in, that we're all mean to each other as well. And then we are permanently in a state of, even when we have healed really well, when we're doing really great and we've overcome so much, like we do with like Mind Your Money and things, we say, well, actually that story isn't mine, but you hear it so often, part of you just takes it on. You know, when you hear something over, you know, when, I mean, I don't know if any of you have had really shitty exes, who, yeah, most women I've had really crappy exes who, whatever they've said to you, you know, it's not true. Well, that's not me. It doesn't resonate. But at some level, it starts to sink in. It's like putting sun cream on. Eventually, it gets into your bloodstream. Do you know what I mean? Since I had a sun cream post earlier, I thought I'd link it in. So if you're putting loads of shit on yourself, eventually it sinks in and becomes part of your belief system, whether you believe it or not. So when we're doing the work, we also need to be aware that we're literally also taking on other subconscious things that are made to keep us not enough. And that's why I think not enough is such a massive kind of undertaking in some ways, is because we are constantly seeing all the reasons we can't. You know, even now, like completely taking, even like, you know, calling women the feeding parent. That's weird. Like, just, you know, because trying to take away the femininity and things like that. And I'm not going to go massive into the feminine side of it, because, you know, that, but it's just that if you see everywhere you go in your news feed, and there are stories that you don't believe, but that you actually take on. So when you are healing and working on the not enoughs, it's like understanding that it's actually coming in from outside too, all the time, because that's the way the world is currently, well, I think always has tried to keep women down at heel. So I'm not saying that men don't have it. I'm just saying this is very women. This is very, so it's this thing that I see all the time with women, and they stop themselves in relationships, in business, because they're not actually good enough. And I suppose it is a case of understanding what becoming enough even looks like. Do you even believe you could ever be enough? Seriously though. No, but truly. We all say, yeah, of course, because of course it can be enough. But do you though? Do you really believe everything that you are is ever enough for your soul purpose, and ever enough for where you want to be? Is it even like, can you truly say, nope, cool, not cool, but thank you? Because on the surface you'll say, yeah, of course I'm enough, because that's what I need to say. But really though, not really. No. I'm not meaning to like trigger people, but I want you to get really honest with, I don't know what it looks like. Yeah, like we've never seen it, have we? We don't see women being enough. we see women saying though, but are they really? Or do we have anybody? Like, and so like I don't mean to put a big downer on it, but it's how big it is. It's like we don't even think that we can be. And that little version of you that doesn't really believe it, I'd like you to tune into that little version of you, because one thing I have realized is the little girl who inside of me who isn't enough is like sitting in a little corner, pretty dark, pretty sad. And actually I've been trying to boot her out the door because she's pissing me off, and like just or cover her up pretending, because not enough doesn't feel like a traumatic thing. So when you've dealt with lots of trauma, sometimes you're like, yeah, but not feeling good enough. Well, that's just part of life. Do you know what I mean? It kind of gets, I think it gets overlooked a little bit, as in, oh, well, I'll get there. It's something I'll work on, but we haven't. I personally, just again, you might totally disagree with me, but it sometimes feels like it's an afterthought, like becoming enough and becoming good enough and pretty enough and feeling enough isn't kind of in our, well, especially in our kind of our immediate field, because there's other stuff that's bigger, like a business, like a family, like, yeah, let's sort all our other shit out. Let's create this and do this. But if we're not even worthy enough to even think about it, and that little version of us gets, even that little version of us is overlooked. And it's like, I remember I literally saw this little girl who just felt like an overlooked belief. It was a really, I'm just wondering, do you actually do you tune into this version of you that is just unworthy? Do you tune in and do you feel that and go, oh, that little version of you maybe doesn't get to be kicked out, but maybe just needs a real nurturing version of you. And nurturing, not like you don't have to be a mum, I don't believe, to be a nurturing. You are born nurturing. It might have been kicked out of you or all these other things, and you might become tough and hard or whatever, but you actually, every single woman in the world has got this ability to nurture that little belief, that little version of you that doesn't think she's good enough. And a lot of the other traumas just take over. So I just invite you just now, just to tune in to a little version of you that just doesn't feel something enough, whatever is good enough or nice enough or pretty enough or popular enough or clever enough, and just tune in to her, notice around, and just tell her she is. Just tell her that you feel she's enough. Just tell her that, you're enough and you can hold her. And it may sound really simple, but I'm not asking you to fix anything. Just want you to give her, if you can, just give her a cuddle. That not enough bit, that not enough little version of you. Because even her trauma isn't traumatic enough, is it? Do you know what I mean? Everything is kind of, that's not bad enough. Like, I need to be like, can I actually spare the time to tune into that version of not enough? People who do all this stuff all the time will hopefully see where I'm coming from a little bit. I hope. Spend a couple of minutes just giving her a little, don't try and fix anything, just acknowledge her where she is in the not feeling whatever it is she's not feeling, wherever she's stuck there, whether she's alone or whatever. Let's not fix her, let's not make it different, just accept her exactly where she is and be enough for her. You can be enough for her. Gets me well emotional. I've got to not cry. Get my cup. Okay. Did you all have a little cuddle? Did you all realize that it was actually, were you all aware of that you weren't sure that you could ever be enough? Or did you just tell yourself you were all the time and tell yourself you believe something different? Because when we say we believe something different, kind of our subconscious knows we're trying to bullshit it. We try and bullshit your own subconscious. It doesn't, it's not, yeah. So that's why I love positive affirmations. I feel so emotional when I do that. Yeah, I know, like, yeah, I feel emotional watching you do it, because I don't, yeah, because, and one thing I have realized is that it is an ongoing process. It's because when we hit a new version of, when we expand and we get this expanse, I see all the time, because I work with people and then they come back and go, oh my God, I'm going to shit. It does it for me too. Everything goes to shit. And you're like, I feel like I'm too aware of not being enough. What do you mean, Sarah? Sarah, if you don't want me to say your name. You're just almost like crippled with it, almost, that everything you do just isn't good enough. Do you mean that? Because I wait for you to type. It's like typing a delay, isn't it? So I'll come back. Because I'll let you in on something. I've been writing a book for about 5 years. But it was never the right book. I was like, oh no. And I had a it affects everything, even after I'm constantly questioning myself. Okay, no, I understand that. I understand that 100%, the questioning of yourself. But it's actually giving those questions time. You know, when we say, oh, I'm questioning everything I'm doing, it is almost playing out. And when questioning yourself all the time is also a massive self-sabotage. You've done self-sabotage work and stuff, which I know you have, Sarah, and upper limit stuff. It is a massive form of keeping you safe as well, when you question every single thing that you do. And there are ways through it. But what I've realized by running some amazing programs and stuff is realizing actually it's an ongoing process that we need to keep on at with not enough. It's like yeah, so as I say, I was writing my book, and I've actually written it and then left it unedited, and I thought, no, that's not right. And actually the book was actually becoming enough. It was every single thing I've learned from my experience, from other people's experiences, going through every single possible mode and way in which you can tune into being enough and becoming enough, even in that moment, and creating longer versions of those moments. So when you question everything, it's not necessarily to get you constantly question yourself. That's the complete lack of confidence. But it's also digging into those questions, answering the questions, or question yourself, okay, well, why? Giving the room to question yourself. And I believe we can heal certain things at like quantum speed. I say quantum because if I say in the field of energy and it goes all, quantum sounds a little bit more solid. It's not solid at all. It's completely woo-woo. But I believe you can heal certain things incredibly quickly and get from A to B by shifting certain beliefs around, smashing through them, boom, you're done. Because I do it all the time. But when it becomes, but what happens to the enoughness is it kind of follows us when we grow as well. And I think that rather than pretending that it doesn't, I think it's acknowledging that it does, and that it's okay that it does, and it doesn't make us less complete. It actually is us fully embracing everything that we are and everything that we think we're not. So actually, the more you feel not enough, actually, the more you're growing. Because again, you start off quite safe. And if you imagine this little hamster ball and you're in the middle of the hamster ball, just floating around going, yeah, it's fine. I'm just living my mediocre life. And they, oh, actually, there's more. Oh, hang on. And we start pushing the edges of the hamster ball, break open the hamster ball, there's a slightly bigger ball. It doesn't mean you're always encased. It just means there's always going to be a level of limits, self-imposed limits. The belief systems are there. Everything's still there, just a slightly different aspects, and you've got more wiggle room. Does that make sense? And this is kind of, I'm coming at it a little bit, you know, I've learned and had a lot of teachers in my time, as well as things that I've had revelations with as well. And I don't believe every belief and every trauma and everything is meant to be completely healed. I don't necessarily believe that absolutely everything has to be perfectly healed in order for you to progress. I also know very successful people who are hot messes quite a lot, and they're very, very successful because they have learned to embrace their mess. Totally 100% embracing the crazy that they are and embracing the not enough. Like, do you know what? I'm not consistent enough. So fuck. Okay. Let's, whatever. Like, okay, I'm not qualified enough. Okay, I'm going to run as I am. All these other things, they actually learn to actually work with all the things that they don't feel they're able to do. Even in a relationship, as a mum, as a wife. Like, I'm not saying that every goal we have is business based, but it's life based. And the problem is we stop ourselves doing all sorts of things. And a lot of people, me included, will go, right, I'll get my business going and I'll have a relationship, but I can't have everything, because that's a runner, isn't it? So, well, I'll do one, I'll have a relationship. And so it's like we constantly have this battle. But what's wrong with embracing that that's what we're doing? What's wrong with saying, yeah, I do feel that. Okay, that's how it is. And I'm going to run with it anyway, because I truly believe the only way you become enough is by being it now. And you don't become enough by healing the everything you don't feel good enough for. You become it by doing everything you don't feel good enough to do as well. And that takes support. I'll be honest, that takes people to go, and that takes feeling fucking uncomfortable, having a meltdown, and having enough tools and enough support behind you to do it anyway. And like, I'll see here, like literally, I've now got about 30 chapters of my book. I've never written so much in my life as I've written the last week of this book, finally, that I'm actually going to publish this one. But it is literally every single thing that I have learned in order to create the enoughness in us. And you know, it's based, you know, all the things, like down to like moving, down to like actually moving your body, down to like respecting yourself enough to eat chocolate because you want it, and how to like eat in a way that's for your soul, rather than worry about, like, if you like, for example, if you go, oh, I'll eat this, but I don't really want to, or oh, what a cow, I'm eating this bit of chocolate. Or if you then start to chastise yourself while you're eating, it's going to poison you and create something in you. And I've done a few experiments with people losing weight, eating exactly what they want. The only rule is to do it with love, and to actually enjoy every single mouthful. That's the only rule, to enjoy it and to eat with your soul. And it's amazing what happens. Just saying. So I'm just, it's like literally taking on a life of its own. And when I came in and did this masterclass, some of you know that I've put out there this quantum success code, which I'm really excited about. And this is what I was going to offer people, because everybody knows I do masterclasses and I share stuff with people, and then I offer something. And I was like, yeah, but I need to offer something bigger. because I've always put off doing anything long term because people don't like me when they get to know me because I'm not really valid enough or am nice enough. and people don't like me very much when they get to know me because I'm not deep enough. I laugh too much. I think it's too, so I'm actually not taking, and also I'm not old enough, which I had that last year. So I'm over, now I'm 40, I can have that. I'm old enough now to do things in a big grown up way. I know, but you know what I mean? It's everywhere, isn't it? So when I hit 40, I was like, oh, I'm a grown up, yay. So whilst I'm doing this like quantum leaping to success so people can just get it done, I then decided an hour before that I was going to create something for like a year for people to actually like come and go, have all like weekly coaching, everything. I'm not going to go too much into it. I'll send you a message about it, but I was just saying that actually just by doing this and have to tapping a fuckload just to turn up and talk about enoughness, I thought, no, I am enough to hold space for a year for people, because then it's you'd have expanded, collapsed, had a mess, expanded again. And it's actually doing it, that it becomes your pattern, not getting rid of everything, but actually working with everything that you feel you're not. Because what we don't realize is all these doubts we have in ourselves are actually the thing that is special about us. All these things that we feel are our worst bits are actually our most special. If you think of those dark bits, all those shadows and things we don't want to, I mean, if you can put like if you can imagine all the dark bits of yourself you don't want anyone to see, you put in like the basement and stuff. If you actually imagine that as like a person and you put them in the basement and not really fed them or looked at them or watered them and like barely acknowledge them, and then you go and actually go, do you know what? Let's, they're not going to go away. They're just going to be a skeleton, aren't they? They're just going to be there lingering as a part of you just are so ashamed of. And the more you ignore it, the more you're ashamed of it because you've left it. And it's kind of, ugh. And so it's a case of bringing that version out and up. And like I said earlier, it's understanding that it can still be a part of you without obliterating it and getting it out of the house. Why not create a nice basement? Do you know what I mean? Because we talk about light and dark all the time, and actually the darkness of the world and then the light workers. But what about, like, we are the universe? Are we not? Are we not ourselves the epitome of the universe? So if we're all light, what the fuck? What's the dark? We are literally a universe within ourselves. We can't get rid of all the dark. So why don't we just start living with it, understanding it and using it as actually a benefit to, if you want to heal the world, heal from the dark spaces too. If you want to be a great, whatever you want to be, remember that everything requires these extremes and these balances. And if we understand the law of oneness in the universe, which is everything and you are everything and everybody is you, how can we be all light? And by obliterating the dark, we're completely negating the light anyway, and we're actually causing a real imbalance within ourselves. And I know a lot of people who've done training and healing and the light workers and things, I know that they may go, but to me, it doesn't make sense to keep trying to obliterate ourselves. And all we do is keep ourselves in a very safe place of not being enough, because we're always going to be damaged. And if that's how you want to see yourself, as always being damaged, then yes. But what about if you are always two halves of a perfect integral you? What about if you can feel the dark things and not hate yourself? What if you can have the dark thoughts and think dark things about yourself and actually go, okay, that's where I am? What if that was okay? Would that not change things a little bit? Would you not now become enough with the dark things? Would you stop trying to hide them? I don't know. I mean, this is quite new conceptual thing for me. because when I was in, we're not talking May, so I was just before actually, when I was in the middle of launching Mind Your Money, I went over to Greece. I thought, yeah, like I'll show people I can like live the high life and do this. Fucking hell, that didn't happen. But anyway, what I did do was I went through utter hell, darkest night of the soul, had to look at myself and go, my God, you are a bad human being. And I had to look at myself in the mirror and tell myself everything I believed about myself. And it was horrible. But wow, what an absolute, whoa, well, that's that done now. Now we can crack on. Do you know, it really was horrendous. But, you know, when you actually say it out loud and actually understand or even just see yourself as for everything you think you are, even if you're not that person, it's quite a relief. And there are ways then that we can work with them, with those parts of us, by actually having a mutual understanding as well, by actually acknowledging those parts of us, but saying, okay, well, this is where we're going. So I know that this is how I feel, or that this, you know, I don't feel worthy enough, but you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. And it's understanding we can actually work with that, knowing how we feel about it. And actually, it does, I would say it takes, and I would say maybe this is why the world has separated us a bit, not being conspiracy or anything like that, but I would say that it takes like a connection, and it takes togetherness to feel like able. I mean, you know, if you've got, I know some people here are like colleagues and friends, when you think, oh, I can't do it, and then someone goes, no, you got this, it changes everything. So I do feel like sometimes it's a separation that creates that makes us not feel like we can. And you know, I mean, if you've heard the title Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, you know, it's something we're meant to do, but to do it alone is really, really hard. Community, yeah. And I do feel that, you know, some crazy ass stuff has been done and some crazy, incredible things have been created, but it isn't necessarily to do it alone. It was one of my, you know, and I'm the biggest person to just crack on and do it on my own. And a lot of things I have done, and that's totally amazing, but without, yeah. So a lot of what I've talked about before, when it comes to like control and talking about money and things, that I will always talk about money, because money is so important. And I will always, because it brings up such a lot of stuff around worth and value, that it's so important. And I just feel that if we can tune into everything that not being enough is stopping us doing, literally write down every single thing. And then we've now done a little bit of going to see little versions of you. I'd like you now, I know you feel you're too aware not enough and it affects everything, and we've got all these, but can you just take a deep breath? Can you suspend your current reality and just imagine feeling good enough to have to or good enough or worthy enough, whatever your enough is? Can you take yourself to a version of you that doesn't have all those, that is completely free from the cripplingness of not being enough, not being qualified, clever, confident, healed enough? Can you all see or feel that version of you? Even if it's just suspend all the current realities that you know. You've all said, I don't think I can. I don't think that's even possible. Okay, so just if it was, take yourself to a place where it is possible. Take yourself on some lovely, beautiful, glorious trip down the timelines of your universe. and notice how it feels. Notice where you are and what you're actually doing when all of these versions of you that, what are you actually doing? Are you doing anything different? If it was possible. Just notice how that feels. And when you're ready, just bring those feelings back to the now. So bring them into your heart and bring them back to this moment so you can feel them as you are now. I'll ask you a bit of a weird question now. Why wouldn't you want that? You know, some people know me. They're gonna, oh, you see, being tricky. What would be the terrible thing about having all of that? Okay. Because a big thing can be, and there's no one reason why we stop ourselves, but a big thing is all the bad things that come with us being everything we're meant to be when we're living our soul purpose. I asked AJ earlier, I said, if you didn't have, like, he's a man, I know he's a man, he's quite feminine. I said, if you were good enough, what would you be doing? If you actually felt worthy enough, what would you be doing? He said, I'd be free to live my purpose, wouldn't I? I said, and what would happen then? He said, and he was like, I don't know, but then what? Was his was like, but then what do you do? Then you're living your purpose, and are you done? I don't want to be done. And it's almost, and it wasn't my, but I'm interested to see what. So for him, he was like, you know, we could tell him, call him feminine, he's fine. For him, it was like, I just die. Part of him would die because he wouldn't have anything to fight for anymore, because we often believe we are our trauma, and we need to be living in trauma. So a lot of us create dramas without realizing it in order to actually create we expect it to be hard. I don't think we expect it. We almost think that we need it to be hard, because if we're not fighting for something, what the hell are we doing? Are we just going to die? And that was like such a, oh my God. And he didn't like when he said, oh my God, like, if I succeed, I die. Literally, success means I die. For me, I'd have no more excuses for being a bit rubbish. Right. What does that mean, Danny? Sorry, what does that mean? So if you were successful, you'd have no more excuses for being you. If you were that person. I mean, right. Yeah. And often you think, God, does that like, oh my God. So like, what would be the bad thing? The bad thing for me, for example, is if I start living my purpose, what if I fuck it up again? Like, what if I got it wrong? What if I don't like it? What if I do succeed and then like I get with a nice house and nice cars, and then like I just stop being like, I just stop? What if I just can't be bothered? What if I fuck it up again? It was the main first one. What if I just, because that's what I do, you know? So although it's not, I suppose what I'm trying to get across, and maybe in a good way, maybe not in a very concise way, it's possibly not concise, but that's okay, is that there are a lot of reasons why the not enoughs are going to come back, and there are a lot of ways in which to start working with them and understanding them, and depending on which level you are at, and depending which discomfortable hamster ball you're in, discomfortable, genuinely sorry, uncomfortable hamster ball you're in, will mean that, do we actually need to tune into the now? Do we need to live in the moment right now? Is what we need to get through this lack of enoughness, staying so present we don't even, the days last years? Is that what we need? Or do we need to understand, do we need to actually dig deep, get really logical with our negative consequences? Or do we need to simply open our capacity up? Or do we need to learn something new? Are we actually, is actually our not good enough? Just trying to say, actually, you can't start sticking needles in someone unless you're an acupuncturist. You can't do it. Do we actually need to learn the skill? Is it a limiting belief, or is it, no, you really, don't start cutting people up without, without a warrant kind of thing? It's like, is there a bit of us that's actually trying to help us say, actually, you do need to learn that skill? Or is it, do you know what I mean? But we need to understand there's more than one way in which to overcome these versions of us, and it depends on where we are at. And I've got about 42 different ways in which, I know I had like 20 and now it's gone up and up. By working, I literally just started journaling every single thing I do when the complete self-doubt just takes over, and you lie there in bed and you're crippled with it. Like, I get almost like, oh my God, like, and it's, what do I do then? What do I do when it's just, and then what do I do when actually I'm tummy-tumming along, but actually some little doubts come in? What happens then? And there's quite a lot of things and ways in which we can tune into it. And I mean, another way is to, one of the easiest ways is to harness cause and effect and say, is what I'm doing now going to get me what I want? Is that the simplest question? Is what I'm doing right now going to get me what I want? Is me being stressed out going to affect my life in the way I choose? Is me being a bit of a bitch, because we all can be, I'll admit I can be, I have shouted on occasion, is me actually being a little bit uncompromising? I am uncompromising and I am quite stubborn. I can list all the things that other people would see as bad things, and I yet see them as utterly quality of my wonderful personality. But I can be quite uncompromising. Is that going to get me what I want right now? Or is me just softening the edges and going, okay? Is me actually just shifting something going to get me, going to cause the effect that I want? Maybe that's where I need to lean into. Maybe actually that's what I need to do. And literally, I have learned so many ways with which to become enough. And I've hesitated talking about it because I'm not there. I'm not there. And some days I am just like, whoa. But it's okay, because I know how to go forward with it. And I also feel it's something that needs to be spoken about more, but not just on I suppose I see it a lot done on a superficial level, and it's been triggering me a little bit, like, I don't know, like, I'm nothing against anything done on a superficial level, but I see a lot of people talking about it and tapping in positive affirmations. It grinds my shit a little bit. I love tapping positive affirmation tapping. I love tapping in positive affirmations, but just telling yourself you're enough kind of is like, can you just quit it? Because like, it's not, that makes you feel really good. Like, yeah, I am enough. I am valid. I have courage. I am brave. Like, I don't know how anybody else feels about it. I love positive affirmations, but you've got to believe them. And as we said right at the beginning, nope, don't believe it anyway. Somewhere on some level, not going to be good enough anyway. So it doesn't matter how many times you tell yourself you're worthy. If it's a lovely feel-good thing, and I'm sure it's made people billions, but it doesn't really do the job long term. And the reason why people remain unhealed, in my opinion, is because they think that the heavy work is super traumatic, and actually it isn't. Because one thing that I assumed everybody knew, yes, you do, you think, oh, I've learned that, everyone knows that now, is that it's nothing to do with what happened to you. The things that happen to you are just experiences you chose to call in for a purpose, and what you made it mean. That's it. So we don't have to re-traumatize ourselves. We don't have to go back to those events. We simply need to understand why we made the decision. So people believe that overcoming trauma is traumatic, but it doesn't have to be. And so people stop doing the heavy work because they're going about it in a way that's regurgitating and talking and, quite frankly, traumatizing. And actually, it's nothing to do with the trauma. It was, if you think about trauma, this is my view, and again, I'll happily listen to other people's view. My view on trauma is we call trauma in because we need an experience in order, because that's what we've called it, because we've come into this world, we've chosen the experiences we're going to have in this world and what we're going to create, and what in this our spirit's purpose, and we spend our life finding that purpose. But the traumas actually are there to guide us to healing in a certain way, and to actually creating beliefs and all the way for the healing journey, for the opening up to actually find our spirit's whole reason for being here. And we do that through trauma and good stuff as well, but the trauma is what elicits those beliefs, and the trauma is what kind of tunes us in. And but it doesn't have to be traumatic. Unpicking it can be like you can either rip off plasters or you can kind of unravel lace. It doesn't, there's so many ways to do it, and it doesn't have to be unfun either. But what it does take is a complete and utter willingness to do it, and the complete I am in. I want to be enough, and I know that sometimes I'm never going to feel it, but I want to become enough. And just saying I am enough. Well, do you believe that though? Because I call bullshit quite a lot. I'm like, yeah, but I don't believe you believe that. And if I don't believe you believe that, your subconscious isn't going to be fooled either. And when you start dicking around with your subconscious, it's really not gonna let you in. As we all know, when you start lying to yourself, and again, sometimes we've been so embedded, like Sarah was saying earlier, so embedded in the not enoughs that it becomes too big. And we actually, again, we need to unpick it like lace rather than send in a massive like wrecking ball to go and smash it up. And we need to do a lot of forgiveness. And I'm going to mention it because it came up today, and things come up in the same day I do a masterclass. It has to be relevant. And I have done cord cutting before, right? I'm only bringing it up now. I'm just bringing it up because it got brought up for me, right? Because I have had numerous now conversations with people about cutting babies' cords, which quite frankly makes me feel quite sick, because babies' cords should be left to pulsate and yada, yada, yada. And I've always known that, right? And then I was talking about it yesterday, and I watched a TikTok where they cut the cord to her, and the baby cried, and oh, don't worry, it doesn't feel it. I'm like, oh, cried? Like, I don't think it cried because you just didn't like the sound. But they were really like excited about cutting this cord. I'm like, the whole thing seemed like complete madness. So I was having these conversations yesterday. Some people were having different opinions on whatever it was. And it's like, oh, that's really fascinating. And then watching TikTok, and then I had a message, my lady here, telling me actually cord cutting, is that what we need to be doing? Or do we need to understand the relationships we've created and the ties we've created? And do we need to embrace them? And I think it kind of goes along the lines of, rather than trying to eliminate all the versions of us that we don't resonate with, do we need to just love them more? And I feel like there's a real shift. I feel like something changes when we stop trying to cut things out and we start accepting, and actually we created a tie with people. We created a bond. Why don't we honor what we created and actually heal it rather than pretend it's bad? Because it was the way that it was said in this article, and it's been on my mind for so long. So it's so weird to get it today when I'm doing this, and from you. And I was like, yeah. And all I can now see is like random ends of cords, like splaying off random shit, and no one's kind of like doing anything with the ends. And you're like, but like there was an attachment for a reason. Why don't we honor that attachment? So I'm open to admitting that maybe things that I thought were the right thing to do, maybe we can shift our beliefs. Maybe we can think about things a bit differently. And I will now be the first person to say, Joey, I have learned all these lessons, but maybe some of them don't sit anymore. Not that it's not about being right or wrong. It's just maybe there's another way, because maybe acceptance is actually healthier. Maybe honoring the bonds we've made. Maybe because we make them for a reason, don't we? I don't know. So I've done cord cutting before, and I've always felt, I've always felt a little bit like, I'm not sure, but it feels nice. Forgiveness and compassion for us and our choice. Exactly. And actually the journey we chose right in the beginning. We chose our parents, cutting the fucking cords of all our parents. Like, Jesus, we picked them for a reason. They might be nightmarish and awful and abusive and have made our lives hell, but we chose them. So why don't we figure that out rather than pretending we don't want anything to do with them anymore? We chose everything in our life. So how about we do that? How about we take responsibility for that? Honor that, accept that, and understand it rather than numbing ourselves off, pretending it doesn't exist, and just cutting it out of our life. And it was when I heard that, I was like, whoa, after all the conversations about cord cutting and babies, and like, I try not to go into the whole baby vibe too much, but it's really hard not to because it's miraculous and life-giving. And actually, sometimes in your life, like I don't know if ever you've had an issue where, like, you've had an issue with birthdays. Like I hated my birthday for years. Now I could never test I'd done the work until my next birthday. So it's like you can never test you've done the work until you have another baby, because all right, I've done the work, am I clear? Am I good? Am I rocking this pregnant? And actually, like, yes, okay, the first 3 months of psychosis I'm okay with now. I'm good. And actually the work, actually what it's bringing up is that we are miracles in motion every single day. We are, the abilities we have are completely incredible. And when you call it in, so that future version of you've just created something out of nothing because of a thought. The only thing between, I go on about it and it's all very lovely in theory, but the only thing between you and that is the elimination of doubt and elimination of all that. But you can be that version of you with doubt and being unsure. And I know, because I see it all the time. I have validation of people who do it all of the time. And I just feel that everything that I have ever gone through has led me to embracing being enough, simply, without bells and whistles, but entirely becoming 100% enough, and literally inspiring other women to feel the same, and going on the journey in the pace and the time and the way, and having the complete collapses, and knowing how to use the collapses as an expression. Like, I remember I felt like I was a statue and I was just like collapsing, and someone said to me and she said, yeah, but you don't need the dust anymore, do you? Like, what's left is what you need. When a statue collapses, the dust goes. You don't need that. That's not you anymore. So allow the collapse, allow the breakdown, allow the break off, because that's what we are. We are evolving. And we are, our skin bloody doesn't stay on us. So how can we expect everything else to, we are just, so why don't we just embrace the complete collapses in order to enable the rebuild, if you know what I mean, but not the rebuild, but the actual emerging of who we really are, because our soul is somewhere in here, and our soul's purpose is somewhere in here, and we can't get there without breaking some shit. Do you know what I mean? We really can't. We need to break away so many things, and breaking away things can be messy. And I think that's okay. And I think that as well, we've lived in a bit of a man's world, just like writing sales pages, right? I used to write sales pages. I don't want to write a sales page anymore. It's shit and it's boring and no one reads it, and I don't want to read it. So how it is. So I write what I do. I'm not going to write a sales page. I don't care. It's a masculine thing to do. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do what everyone tells me to do. And it's not just because I'm stubborn. I am stubborn. It's not just because I'm stubborn. I like to do things my own way. It's actually no, because like, where's intuition gone? Where's like feeling it first? Like, for example, I turned up this morning not having a clue what to offer people. You don't go and do a masterclass, right? You don't go and do one of these things and not have an offer at the end. I have nothing to offer you. I will do by tonight, but right now I know that I've got one thing, but there's more if you want it. But I haven't got it, so tough. And I'm like, who does that? Who like goes on, and I was like, well, me, I do that because actually I'm here to serve from the heart. And actually, if something doesn't feel right, I'm not going to do it. And I know that that will serve me. Do you know what I mean? And I know that I have put off doing big things because I felt not enough. The quantum coding was like a really big thing for me to get into, because oh my God, I'm offering something where I'm one-to-one, and oh my God, that's incredible. And this next thing is bigger, and it's not a quick fix. It is understanding the enoughness on a massive level. But it's every week, and it's going through specific lessons every single week. And you might think, I can't do it this month. I'm just done, but that's okay. Actually, I just need some downtime, and actually I just need, and actually it won't be a coach, like coaching calls I could do where I talk about something very, very specific. It's literally more of, this is what we're going to talk about. These are the things, and actually who needs, not just yet, I'll be coming in a minute. What's that, dude? We'll go and get something to eat. Can Constance help you? We'll get something to drink then, lovely. I don't know either. Could you close this door though and do that? Hang on a sec. Amazing. You have that. Could you close this door for me, lovely boy? Go on then. Go on. You dose up. Love you. Oh, well, then you can fight over it later. Love you. Go on then. Have a few. Take as many as you want. Sorry. So Max. So please come out of bed. I know you're busy, but can I have anything I want? Yeah, just whatever's going, that's fine. Yeah, so how it would work, I'm just letting you know. I'm not sure if it's something you want to do, but how it would work is we'd meet every week, and then somebody would, if they wanted to, be we'd focus on something quite specific, and somebody could come and share what's going on for them, be it messy, be it achievementy, be it whatever it might be. And we're going to go deep on everything and be okay. Actually, like I say, if you're like, do you know what, I can't do it this month. Actually, I'm having a really tough time. I don't want to progress this month. Holding space for you even in those moments as well. And so I've never done anything like it before. So I'm doing a lot of things I've never done before because I've never felt valid enough before. But it works alongside, because a lot of the stuff I've taught people who've done stuff before with me, that'll be some of the stuff that's in there already, but it will be going to places and really going deep on like all the different versions of how we become enough, because it is a longer process than 6 weeks. Have you spilled? Could you go and get your sister? Okay. Okay, I'll clear it up. You can change your pajamas. I'll make sure you pick up the bottle. Could you shut the door? Could you? Don't worry. Just pick up the bottle. Could you shut this door, dude? I'll sort it out in a minute. Thank you. Good, thank you. He's not like spilling stuff. And now he's got it on his, but you got a spot of it on his pajamas. It's not good enough, mummy. Oh well. You've got 2,000 cups. I'll be with you in a minute, Max. I will be with you in a minute. Go get your sister. She'll help you out. So yeah, just ignore your kids though. That's how you become enough. Just ignore them and they'll be fine. Yeah, so it will be understanding like all the freezes and all those things. But yeah, and do you know what? I'll get you an email of it all. But what I feel would be really, really powerful is to get quite, because they're not enough, right? There's always a bigger version of it, as in it's never just not enough. It's I'm not good enough, or I'm not something enough to do something. Do you know what I mean? Often it's not just, and it's not just, I've from my experience as well, it might not be relevant to everybody, but it's never like I'm just not good enough. It's like I'll never be a good enough. I was like, I'll never be a good enough wife and mother and actually have a nice career. So that was my not good enough. And I wasn't. And I made that true. That's fine. How our beliefs then come into creating our not enoughs and things like that. So what would be really useful if you actually just allowed them to be, and just see them as little bubbles of versions of you, and just nurture them. If you do nothing else, nurture every version of you that proves to yourself why you're not enough. I'm going to help you in a minute. Put this towel down. Here you go. Put this towel on the spillage, dude. Right? No. But this is my. Okay, you spilt the juice. Okay, I'm not blaming you. I don't mind. It's juice. I don't really care if you spilled juice. I know you care. Now walk on the towel. Then you can get out of the kitchen. It's like the night across the river. Right. Cool. So I would just, rather than trying to make it, because it is important, and understand everything it stops you being. Everything it stopped me being was I'm not good enough to have my needs met, right? It was another one, meant that I never asked for help, which meant I got really stroppy when people didn't help me, which meant actually I was a bit narky quite a lot, because I was hinting and like coercing and trying to do everything to get someone to help me without actually having to ask for help. So it kind of created a bit of, when I just said, you know what, I'm worthy of assistance, I'm worthy of help. I'm enough. I get to have help. I get to be me and have help. And that's, you know, rather than feeling so terrible, like I'm not strong enough, I need help. Do you see what I mean? It actually made me a person that I was just there cross because I wanted people to do stuff. I don't want to have to ask people to do stuff. And it was just like this, so, and I'm not saying that's you. I'm just saying that actually the not enough vibiness creates all sorts of drama. But is that a drama and a trauma that makes you you? And so by eliminating it, does it somehow negate who you are anyway? And I might say, you know, what we did earlier, does that actually is eliminating all those things actually what you truly want? And a really big question that you can ask yourself is, do you actually want to be enough? Do you want to be enough? And do you want your desires met enough? Do you want more of the good stuff more of the time? Do you want to feel completely fulfilled all of the time? Do you want a life of complete fulfillment? Do you actually want that? I'm not even saying you believe it, but is that something you really want? Or do you actually believe that you need to have self-doubt and kind of all this badness in order to have the good stuff? Because I've said there's dark and light, but it doesn't mean you need to live in a roller coaster of misery. It means that actually you can live in an amazing, incredible way with the dark and light inside of you. Because remember that the outside experience is just an experience. You get to choose that. You know what I mean? So, and if you're always living in misery, you know, you don't expect there to be equilibrium of light, do you? But you can actually live with the dark and the light and have this incredibly enough life. But do you truly want that? Do you want to feel entirely worthy all of the time? And it may sound like a really simple question, but I would genuinely like tune into how that makes you feel. And you know, like we were saying, like Angelita was saying, you know, actually, does that feel a bit icky? Does that feel, where would our drive come from if we didn't have trauma? Would our drive come from? What would we fight for if we hadn't have to fight for something? You know, how would we just keep being beautifully successful and beautifully happy if we felt enough all the time? So some of these questions may not resonate with you, but it's worth asking them, because if you don't actually truly desire it, we need to start there. And like I say, the those of you who've doing like Mind Your Money and no one's doing course creation here, but they're things I'm going to be running because I think they're beautiful, and that's going to be running again in November. And I love Mind Your Money because it's so good at honing in on money shit. This Quantum Success Code is, I don't know if it's a one-off or not, but it's going to be fucking exciting. It's going to be a ride for 6 weeks, and that starts in August. And then I'm going to be creating this portal of like 12 months of like just deep diving in and having fun with it as well, and playing around with it and metamorphosizing. It's the Becoming Enough revolution, I've called it, because I didn't know what else to call it, so I called it that, because it is a revolution. Imagine that. And it's a revolution as it's going to come back, isn't it? And it's a continual cycle of becoming enough. So that is what I'm creating to start actually in September. Do you know why? Because it's my birthday, and why not, actually? So that's why, because it's all about me. So that's starting in September, because I feel as well that's when new things start in September in weird, not like, so I feel that it'd be September 1st, and it'll be possibly daytime as well, possibly a daytime catch up. But I'm also prepared to do different things different weeks. But it's basically, it is, if you're in it for the year, the long haul, and it might turn out that actually it's a forever thing. but people can join at different times. So it's not like it's going to be something that people can join in and become part of for a year and actually commit to becoming enough. And after the year, I don't know actually what would happen, but I imagine it will carry on. But I imagine it'll become quite an incredible space. So I know it doesn't sound very clear, but it just, to me, just is just, it's the epitome of everything I've ever done. And like I say, I will still be doing the 6 and 8 week courses are great because actually they're fantastic for really honing in on money and creation of other things. But this is something that I feel is super powerful and will be open, like ongoing, but starting in September. But yeah, so have you all written notes about that? Because I can't remember what I've said. So that's the trouble when you like intuitively do stuff, have no plan. So I'm assuming, yeah, you know. But yeah, so the main thing is to take from it is to tune in so much and to see if it resonates with you getting rid of it. And a lot of the things I said might go against a lot of the things that have been said by other people about obliterating beliefs and completely changing things and getting rid of things and things. So I hope that you found it useful to maybe have a different angle on things. I'm going to put you all off mute in a sec, but I'm going to stop the recording first. So for anybody on catch up or replay or whatever, good night, and you'll be getting some emails off me, which you can either ignore or not. And thank you very much for watching. Good night. Stop there.